Okay. So we talked about language in Mars levels, and so the last thing I wanted to mention is that each level of analysis poses constraints on the other two levels. So um, for implementational and algorithmic, right? So the hardware that you use has to be able to perform whatever the transformations or algorithms are. So for example, one thing we know is that our memory capacity is limited, which means that any sort of algorithm that requires us to store a lot of information at once is either not true or requires some additional trick that allows for compressing the data, right? We know that our brain is not capable of storing that much information. So that tells us maybe what the algorithm should be. Um, Also, the implementational and computational constrain each other. So the hardware has to be able to achieve the goals of the system, and the goals are limited by what the hardware is capable of performing. So if the goal of the system is rapid visual recognition, we need to consider the fact that neurons have a limited firing rate, meaning, um, you know, so basically, because this will put a limit on how fast the signals can be transmitted through the brain, right? So as a result, we might decide that the problem of rapid visual recognition it's not solved by something less, or it is, sorry, it is solved by something that's less computationally complicated, right? So rather than trying to solve the problem using complex computations to try and recognize the object, we might use heuristics or rules of thumb or rules of thumbs, I guess, rules of thumb to try and approximate what the object is. Again, then the algorithmic level constrain, or the algorithmic and the computational level constrain each other as well. So representations and algorithms are defined by the goal of the system, but also possible goals are constrained by what available algorithms are available. So, for example, the goal of the language system is to understand spoken or written language in real time, and it needs to do so in a relatively effortless way, really pretty rapidly, and it needs to resolve an enormous amount of linguistic ambiguity. Um, and this may be handled using a number of heuristics, right? So, um, however, such algorithms using heuristics don't always succeed in achieving maybe the goal that is defined by the computational level of perfectly understanding what's being said, because these algorithms prioritize efficiency over accuracy. So the limitations of an algorithm will affect the success of a given goal on the computational level, right? So the goal may not be to perfectly understand somebody all the time, but to have an idea, I guess, or a limited, some sort of educated guess. And just like how, Sudoku or a crossword puzzle, right, give you hints and they give you hints, but they also constrain what words or numbers can go in different boxes, right? So limitations of each level can help constrain our understanding of how the mind works, right? And so if a brain cannot perform a particular algorithm, then the mind must not be performing those particular computations. Um, so knowing something on the implementational level can help you sometimes understand things on an algorithmic level, right? And understanding what algorithms are possible can also give you a hint as to what implementation, how the brain implements that algorithm, right? So they're kind of intertwined, and they both help. All the levels help each other understand the mind better. So, okay, and that's it. Next class, I forget what we're talking about, but yeah, so the lectures hopefully will be up soon.